Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Whatever Show. I am Lawrence Winterman.
I am Dana Dubois.
That's my best friend right there.
That's my best friend right there.
Oh my God.
Lauren,
Dana,
yeah.
we're having a moment. We're having a moment where, for maybe the first time in history, I am waking up uninformed and you are telling me of breaking news overnight.
Yes. I think that it actually broke even this morning, which is all the more shocking because I'm 3 hours behind you.
Right, right.
Y'all, Lawrence always is the one to break the news to me. In fact, I think it was on Threads. Someone started a thread that was like, all right, you guys, so when it happens, where are you going to be and who is going to be the person or entity to tell you? And I was like, oh, it's going to be Lawrence. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that when it happens, and by it I don't mean the genocide of an entire, I'm going to get into that, I mean it, the it we're all waiting for.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind that it will be you who informs me, but I am the one to inform you about this. I'm just going to call it a tweet because I hate saying
Right.
this
In fairness, we
truth.
should say our guest today actually told me. You hinted at it, and I asked her, and she told me. But you're telling me the full thing now because I literally haven't seen anything. Like I woke up late.
Oh my
This is my
gosh.
giant mug of coffee.
Let me pull up, I'm pulling up the exact language. I first saw Ellie Leonard. I saw it from her first. She was the first person I saw when I opened Substack this morning. And she just said, he's announcing a genocide. And right underneath it here, I'm going to read it to you, and I'm not going to do any funny voices because this is far too serious. He wrote, a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have capital C, complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionarily wonderful that's a can happen. All caps. Who knows? We will find out tonight. One of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the capital world. 47 years of extortion, corruption, and death will finally end. God, oh, this is title case. God bless the great people of Iran. That's it.
Okay.
He is threatening genocide openly on fucking social media.
Yeah. And I mean, everyone's thinking nukes, right? Like, what
Oh,
else could
what else
that
can that
possibly
mean?
mean?
Right. The vision that went through my head, Lawrence, and I actually shared Bree Fram also was the second person I saw to post about it, and I shared hers and said, I think it's too late for the 25th. He needs to be dragged forcibly to Walter Reed and sedated. This is a medical emergency in my mind. Like, that's
Yeah.
unhinged. That
No,
that
that
I mean,
is.
everything about all of this is unhinged, but threatening to nuke an entire country tonight, even if that were a good plan, which it's not, like the president announcing that it's coming, like,
I. Yeah. Yeah. I just want to remind people we came very, very close to nuclear obliteration on September 23rd of 1983. And the only reason the world still exists is because there was one guy, Colonel Petrov in the Soviet Union, who saw it was his job to like be the first responder to the signals that were coming in that might indicate an American first strike. And he looked at them and said, "No, that's wrong. No, five incoming missiles from the U.S. Like it doesn't make any sense. We're not telling Moscow because he knew if he told Moscow, they would initiate a response
right.
immediately. And it turned out that Petrov was right. It was sunlight glinting off of clouds, right?
Yeah, I love that story. But
It's
yes,
an amazing story. And the judgment of one man is the point that I'm making, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't know his name until years later, but God bless Colonel Petrov and goddamn Donald Trump. Like, we have got to get rid of this guy, which is actually kind of a good segue to bringing our guest on.
Lawrence, I mean, we booked this guest, I think 2 weeks ago, maybe it's been weeks. You know, we always book our calendar pretty far ahead like that these days. And I'm just astonished that I'm like, oh,
Because Dana is a maven of booking now, let it be known in all from all times and all places.
and we have Walter Ryan. I was about to say Walter Reed. It just occurred to me how similar those two names are. We have Walter Ryan, our dear friend, to thank. He was the one who, while Keira was on his show, said, "You really need to go on the Daily Whatever show." And I was like, "Hit me up." So here we shall we just go ahead and introduce Keira Havens,
Let's do it.
Executive Director of Citizens Impeachment.
Hello,
Welcome,
Keira,
hello.
welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I regret to inform you that every time I book a podcast, our work becomes more and more relevant. It has
Jeez.
only increased in relevance since we started a year ago. So
Oh my gosh. And today is your 1 year anniversary, correct? This
our
is a big
exact
day.
1 year anniversary. Yeah. So last year on April 7th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, we had gathered 600 people to send emails to their representatives all at the exact same time. Congress kind of operates on a "are you doing this too" sort of conversation. Everybody talks to one another. And so by showing up en masse in every single district's inbox, all at the exact same time, we got Congress to kind of take this citizen-led grassroots movement for impeachment seriously. And I mean, we showed up out of nowhere and we said, this guy, the president, is a tyrant. Here's your article of impeachment. You should do this now. And when usually Congress is very insular, right? And so unless you are known, unless you have like the weight of constituents or money behind you, it's hard to get in. It's hard to get heard. It's hard to get
Right.
feedback or even like feel like somebody listened to you. So showing up with all those people all at the exact same time was our sort of like element of surprise to kickstart the conversation on impeachment. And boy, I wish they had done it then. I tell you what,
Right.
it would have been
Right.
great if Congress had decided to act 1 year ago.
There have been so many
let me
moments.
ask you this.
Yeah.
So, I think the story of you and your co-founder starting up this whole process is interesting, right? Because one of you was a
Mhm.
Senate staffer, one of you is
Mhm.
veteran, you got like scientist kind of turned activist. Tell us about sort of the moment maybe where you looked at each other and you were like, we got to do this. Like there's no not doing this, and maybe use that as a way to kind of introduce yourself to the chat here. We've got a really active chat, and they're bound to be asking questions.
Yes, I can see
Beautiful.
they're already starting to come in.
I love it. Yeah, just feed those questions in. Happy to answer anything at all. So let me just say that the original co-founder of this work had to step back for personal reasons back in July of last year. And my current co-founder, Sarah, has really taken it in a whole new direction with candidates coming in the midterms. Because as we said, this Congress hasn't acted for 1 year, right? So we need people to show up and replace them. And so Courage for Democracy is our sister organization. We have 130 candidates in, I think, over 110 districts in 37 states. There is probably someone running in your district. Go to Courage for Democracy and find them. But when the Citizens Impeachment started, we actually called ourselves Operation Anti-King at the very beginning. But even before that, I met the Senate staffer just online, right? Here was this guy talking about how, well, if the Senate really wanted to stop Trump and his agenda, they would just use a tool called refusing unanimous consent. So the Senate is designed to give the minority party a lot of power. That's how it's structured, right? And one of the tools that the Senate uses to like speed up business, because all their rules are 1,000 years old, is something called unanimous consent. So what a senator can do is be like, hey, guys, we just need to do this thing. I don't want to follow all the rules. Does anyone care if we skip them? And they ask for everybody in the Senate to agree to that so that they can just skip that particular rule. If one senator decides they don't want to skip the rules, they can just say no. and then they have to follow their own rules. That's it. That's all refusing unanimous consent is. You don't need anybody's permission. You don't need to file anything. You do get the chance to like say your piece about why you don't want to allow unanimous consent, which if you were an opposition party would be a great opportunity to show up and be like, I don't want to go any faster because there's a fascist dictator in office, right? You could say that every single time you refuse unanimous consent. So I learned about this and I thought, well, it can't be that easy, right? And because I am a scientist and a nerd, I just started counting. I started reading the congressional record and counting how many times the Senate used unanimous consent. And you guys, by the time I stopped counting around April, they were up to 700 plus uses of unanimous consent. They use it 20 times a day. They use it to applaud Mitch McConnell's retirement. They use it to applaud the inauguration committee for Trump's inauguration. They use it to fast track all of the nominations, and they're still going like with unanimous consent. They haven't slowed down. But yeah, the Senate uses this 20 times a day. And after counting up to 700, it became really clear that the Senate wasn't going to do anything to stop this administration. In fact, they were moving at a faster pace than either Trump won or Biden. They were just pushing these nominees through so fast. So since the Senate wasn't going to do its job, and it's, the Senate is responsible for a much larger piece of the population, it's harder to get that many people together right up, like, kind of from nothing. We decided to focus on the House. And that is when we gathered the 600 people, one from every single district, and made it and showed up as a unified national movement to impeach, convict, and remove Donald Trump and his enablers. So that's kind of the arc to how we got to April 7th of 2025, because we exhausted our options with one chamber of the House and decided to focus on another.
Wow. Yeah. And so tell us about the year. I'm sure it's been a whirlwind. And like you said, out of nowhere on any given day, he could do something that makes the case even more strongly salient that he needs to be removed. But what has this past year been like for you?
It has gone by so fast. And man, time basically has no meaning anymore for us, right? Like the work continues regardless of what new horror comes into play. There are almost 3,000 undemocratic actions at trumpactiontracker.info. This is run by an academic in England. They've neatly categorized everything.
Tracker. I'm grabbing all your URLs.
No, do it. It's an incredible site, and they have all these little graphs, and the line just goes up. Things keep getting worse. Corruption continues. What we learned, the first thing we learned as part of this work, is that Congress can move fast when it wants to. From that first email volley with the article of impeachment on tyranny, right, saying Donald Trump is a tyrant, guess how long it took for that article to get to the House floor and actually be submitted?
2 days.
No, it was longer than that, but it was only 3 weeks.
Okay.
Wow.
So one representative saw the email and said, oh, I can do this, because every single representative in the House has the privilege of bringing questions to the floor under what's called Rule 9. It's a question of privileges of the House, and impeachment is a privileged resolution. So every single representative can put articles of impeachment on the floor every single day and force a vote within 2 legislative days if they file it under this question of privilege, which is also known as Rule 9. And one representative decided to do that. So that was Representative Thamedar in Michigan 13. And we thought, oh my God, we're actually going to get this to go to a vote. This is incredible. It's been less than a month. And then the Democratic leadership proceeded to bully this representative so hard that he pulled his articles from the floor and sent them back to the Judiciary Committee, where they have sat for almost exactly 1 year now. The Judiciary Committee has articles of impeachment ready to go for Donald Trump, and they refuse to call him to a vote. And this has been the pattern going forward. You might be aware Representative Al Green has submitted 2 articles of impeachment for a vote under Rule 9. One was in June for, guess what? usurping the war powers and unilaterally striking Iran. Really wish Congress had taken action then. That would have been cool. We wouldn't be here. And then again in December for threatening sitting representatives with violence. This was after military members had said, it's okay to refuse illegal orders. In fact, you're required to, and the administration really did not like that.
Right.
No.
Also wish they had actually taken that seriously. But at that point in time, the Democratic leadership still thought that they had control over their party. But that vote actually created a huge rift because leadership came out, Jeffries and Clark, Whip Clark, co-signed a statement that said, well, I can't stop Al Green from bringing this vote, but we know what the American people actually want. They want us to talk about affordability. So therefore, we will just be voting present, right? Only 47 members of Congress voted present with their leadership. 140 of them voted to take up the question of impeachment, and 23 Democrats went ahead and just straight up voted no with the Republicans. But leadership lost control of the narrative in December. And so in January, what happened is Jeffries went on CNN to talk about Rule 9 and to say, yes, we do actually all have the potential to bring the responsibility, I would say, right? But we have the power to bring these articles of impeachment to the floor. And after that, what we started to see was a series of articles brought not to the floor, but to the Judiciary Committee, not to a vote, but to kind of the graveyard of impeachment resolutions. There are currently 5 impeachment resolutions now sitting in the Judiciary Committee. 2 of them have been obviated, right? Because the administration has fired Kristi Noem and Pam Bondi. Mm-hmm. The other ones sitting in there are for Hegseth, for RFK, and of course for Donald Trump. Now, at any point in time, again, any representative can force a vote on these articles. They are just choosing not to. They are passing the buck over to the executive branch to fire their people out of some, I don't know, weird sense of integrity or shame or something. And this is the same thing that's happening with the 25th Amendment. This is also passing the buck because the 25th Amendment can only be initiated by the cabinet. And who in the cabinet is going to initiate the removal of the president? Right. Is Hegseth going to do it? That's dumb, right? So I'm really pleased today to see that Rep. Ansari has said that she is, 25 Amendment, whatever, right? I'm going to file articles of impeachment against Hegseth. You got a little bit performative because there's already articles of impeachment there, but the person that put those articles of impeachment there isn't going to force a vote on them. So sure, do it again, but just make sure you bring it to the floor for a vote because that's the only thing that matters at this point.
Right. That was so, I'm going to be tongue in cheek. That was so yesterday's news. I did see it in the news yesterday. Yep. This is the staggering thing about this current moment in time and the way that this regime operates is that things that seem catastrophic one minute or celebratory, like bringing articles of impeachment against Hegseth, pass like this through the news.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's talk about that a little bit because the same person that got bullied out of bringing his articles of impeachment against Trump to a vote is the person who previously filed articles of impeachment against Hegseth. And you mentioned I'm a veteran, right? I used to work actually in nukes. I was an ICBM crew commander. That was my first job out of college, right? Oh my gosh. Wow. So I have seen strategy from a military perspective from very early on. And in December, when Rep. Tanadar introduced articles of impeachment against Hegseth, he asked Citizens Impeachment to endorse those articles. And we said, sure, we'll endorse them. They seem fine, but you have to force a vote because if you don't force a vote, they will become irrelevant. And right before the break on December 17th, I sent another message that was, I was informed it was bold language. Where I said, you must bring these to a vote before the break. It is clear that military assets are being moved into place. It is clear that the rhetoric is escalating for Venezuela. Right. It is clear that there is going to be action. You must do this or become irrelevant. They didn't do it. They have become irrelevant. And 2 weeks later, Venezuela was, invaded again, and we kidnapped a sitting president. And now we're here. Now we are here 4 months later barely, right? Actually, well, a little bit more than 4 months later. And we are again talking about regime change. We have escalated to let's glass the place. We are bringing nuclear weapons into the discussion, which is insane. Congress refusing to act and refusing to make votes happen and put their colleagues on the record. Force these Republicans to say, yes, I like the Iran war, right? Refusing to do that piece, refusing to do their job is why we are here.
Yeah. I want to point out Karma in our chat just put the White House switchboard phone number in the chat and is suggesting that, we call Congress, we call the White House, we flood them with like citizens reacting with horror to this moment in time, which is absolutely the right thing to do. You said something really interesting, Keira, and I want to drill down on it a little bit because Zooples in the chat kind of made a similar point, which is Democratic leadership is not just ineffective, it almost seems like they're kind of in on it, right? And they're complicit. Like,
yes,
we need
Would
a
you like
clean
example?
sweep.
Yes, please.
Sorry, Lawrence, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, please. This is
Okay. So the way you can tell what the narrative is coming out of the Democratic Party and what the party line is by looking at what leadership leaks to the media. Punchbowl News is great for this. Axios is great for this. And you're looking basically for three people. If Aguilar is out in front saying something, that's what they want you to believe. If Kesar, the head of the Progressive Caucus, is saying something, that's what they want. That's what they want folks to buy into. And if Garcia, the head of the Oversight Committee, is saying things, those three things are where the Democrats want you to go. Jeffries, I believe, sees himself as a person in control of the narrative, which is why he was the one who went to CNN to talk about that they all have the power to do impeachment, but they have to think carefully about what the right timing is. AOC has also mirrored this line as well. But yet last week, Aguilar was saying nobody in the Democratic caucus is talking about impeachment in an article on Punchbowl News. We are not having these discussions. So that means that leadership has decided nobody will have these discussions, except they continue to be wrong because this is not a rogue member of Congress that is pushing for impeachment. This is me and the 13,000 people in Citizens Impeachment that are going to keep showing up and not stop. Because the only thing these people want to do is retain control of the narrative and have you think they're doing a good enough job for re-election. They are not. So an example meant we have so many examples of ways that the Democrats simply undercut the effort to do this. And they are used to people folding and thinking that they cannot succeed. Let me just say that spite runs deep in me and my people, and we are not stopping just because you think that we should. Right. So one thing that you can look for
is snaps.
I say this every single time because I know that they listen to me. They will never admit it, but I see the language that I use showing up in their talks, in their speeches. And that's how you know that they see what you are saying and doing. They will co-opt it in a second. As soon as we saw ICE deployed to Minneapolis, I asked everybody to say this is a paramilitary force that's invading a city. That is how it needs to be framed. It's not an immigration enforcement. It's not law enforcement. It is a paramilitary force responsible only to the federal government invading American cities to terrorize American people. That's the framing that you use. And then immediately AOC is saying it. Jim Acosta is saying it. The language gets adopted. We actually saw this way back in the beginning with unanimous consent, too. When we started talking about that, like a week later, there was an article from Elizabeth Warren saying, we do not consent. I mean, she was consenting because she just kept granting unanimous consent like 500 times at that point or something, right? But the language of we do not consent to this, that made its way out. So they will co-opt the language. They will never, not ever use the phrase, and that's why I will. There will never be an action statement at the end of any of this stuff. And if you do manage to find someone with a tiny bit of conscience that is willing to actually, adhere to the oath that they took and to the values that they claim to hold to, right? They will be bullied relentlessly. Democrats were in the media calling Tanadar a dumb shit. They can't even swear right? like they are going to, you need someone with a spine, and Congress is currently made up of jellyfish. And so it's an extremely difficult problem. And all I can say is that if they ever get it through their head that they cannot stop us, right? And they decide to lead this charge, we could do anything we wanted. But as it is, we got to keep fighting them because there is not a unified response from our opposition party to this obviously insane mad king. Until we get that, we can't do shit. Oh, sorry. Can I correct?
Yeah, no, you can fucking say whatever you want here, especially given these circumstances. Are you kidding?
Thank you.
Right? Do you see evidence of spines? Are there a few of them out there with a backbone? And if so, I need some good news. Can we talk about anyone who you're like, support this person because they're doing the right thing?
Sure.
Or is there just no one?
Well, let me just say the bar for courage is going to be like, we got to lower it. We got to lower it a lot. All right. Al Green is truly the only representative that has said, you know what, this is my oath. I am responsible to it. We're going to do this thing. Right. So he's brought articles of impeachment to the floor twice. Now he is facing a tough challenge from his new district. They just elected Representative Menifee, and Al Green is now challenging Rep Menifee. So for him, the calculus is impeachment a big enough topic for me to win this fight in the primary? This calculation is what we are actively trying to promote with Courage for Democracy. Every single one of our candidates are pro-impeachment. We have articles of impeachment written, ready to go. They all know that they are expected to drop those articles into the hopper like day one. And we have, like I said, we have a coalition. So when we get those people into office, that is what they will be doing. And right now, our current campaign is asking representatives, will you commit to impeachment after the midterms? And if they do, great, we'll tell people about that. But you guys, they kind of don't even understand the question. What, you want me to make a statement of commitment before, like, I know if anybody else is going to do it? Yes, folks, this is what principle means, right?
I know the candidate in the district here, and I'm pretty sure she would do it. So I'm going to get you in touch with Kelly Thompson's campaign because
beautiful. Yep.
I think she would do it. I just want to point out, Karma has said in the chat, and this might be breaking news, I guess Israel is also threatening to nuke Iran, and China has said that if Israel does that, that they will respond. So
let me just say, this is why you do not. This is why nuclear weapons, once used, don't become fail to become a strategic asset. The strategy is in deterrence, and once you launch those nukes, deterrence is gone. Nobody has a reason to hold back anymore. This, if y'all remember mutual assured destruction from back in the day, that was the reigning doctrine for a really long time. Nuclear weapons are not tactical weapons. They cannot simply be deployed without consequence, because once you deploy them, that's it. That's the top of the arsenal. There is no reason to restrain yourself. And man, that is wild to me that Israel is admitting that they have nukes in the public domain. I just cannot fathom.
Right. Do you remember the time when Israel was a secret nuclear power? You know, like when we were supposed to not know that Israel had nukes?
No, of course, right? Like this has been the story for a very long time, but they gave the game away in Gaza. There was a moment, I believe it was in like November of 2023, where you had just a minister being like, we should nuke Gaza. And everybody was like, oh, you can't say that, man. He got fired, right? But like, it's the understanding of let's say like the secret understandings, like the capacity for subterfuge, the capacity for like backroom deals that strategically make sense in the long term. Like that time has passed. And the Democrats are still living in it, right? Like you can see it kind of with impeachment and the two cabinet members that they managed to get rid of. They didn't force a vote on those impeachment articles for Noem or Bondi, even though Noem's impeachment articles had like 187 people signed on to them. What they did instead was wait for the administration to take action. And who knows what backroom conversations were had between the Senate and the administration and the House and stuff. I'm assuming something, right? I'm assuming the administration didn't just decide, well, I guess they got us, right? And get rid of their henchmen in the cabinet because they felt shame or integrity. Again, I don't think that's a thing that the cabinet has or the president has.
Right.
But you cannot do this work in the back room anymore. Everything is out in the open. Everything is on the table. Nothing matters except power at this point in time. And the Democrats simply don't know how to use that or operate in that world. Not that I can see.
Right. And I mean, it's so clear that Schumer and Jeffries are living in this fantasy, like, we're going to win the midterms, and then I'm going to be the Senate Majority Leader and the Speaker of the House. Guys, like, no.
Well, this isn't,
First of all, neither of you deserve to be. And second of all, like, we can't wait, like, we can't wait for the hope and a prayer that they don't cheat and we actually win in November.
Or the hope and the prayer that they are actually going, like, these people that have not used their power at all will suddenly decide, oh yeah, we should use it now after the midterms. That's ridiculous. And I will just say, this is not limited to like the super establishment people. Representative Jayapal out in Washington
State.
Yeah,
she's mine.
Oh, really? I'm so sorry. I have a negative story.
Oh no! Usually she's doing the right thing. I feel like.
Well,
what's Pramila up to?
It's true, right? So the constituent, we hold constituent meetings. It's really hard to get meetings most of the time, but when you have the constituent showing up and then you have the organization saying this constituent works with the rest of us, meetings get on the books. And so we talked with her staffer and said, hey, you are usually on the right side, right? Like the constituent was really complimentary about her leadership and how forcefully she speaks and how incredible she is at championing these causes. Yeah. And she said, we need you to champion the cause of impeachment and removal. We need somebody to speak for this. And the office took that in and thought about it for a couple of weeks and came back to us and said, hey, she's not going to do that because she expects to be on the Judiciary Committee next year and she'd rather do it that way.
Right.
And and that's just that. This was a couple months ago. So that was like 9 months of just not acting because she wants a promotion. Not okay, man. Not okay.
Not okay. They're I want to shift just slightly because, oh my God, your first job was as a ICBM crew commander. Like, to say that maybe you have better insight into the precarity of this moment more than the average citizen, is an understatement. Like, can you talk for a minute about, I guess maybe what you're allowed to say about what you learned from that experience and how it impacts the severity of this moment?
Yeah. So this was a very long time ago. Let me just say all my technical knowledge is out of date. What really matters is actually the thing that you brought up at the beginning. There's always people in the system. This is why we shouldn't ever have AI running operations like this. This is why AI should never be in the military chain of command. It cannot take responsibility for its actions. And these are actions that humans take to harm other humans. So there must be some human in that loop that has an understanding of the harm that they are causing and why they feel at this particular time it is necessary. So when I was in nukes, George Bush was in charge. That sucked.
Didn't it seem so catastrophic? Like things can't get worse than this back then?
Yeah, there are a lot of institutions that are operating at play. And at that point in time, I did make the decision that, well, I can trust this system. I am able to trust in the institutions that run from me to the president. It's a shorter chain than you would think, right? And so I'm going to be able to take this job, and operate in good faith. There is not a way. I mean, I am not in the system anymore, but that would be a much harder decision now. What you said about Petrov is exactly right. This is still how the information is processed. It goes through a human person. And I truly hope all of the human people involved here are going to be doing the right thing. There is...
What an immense burden, though, to have the courage that like every single member of Congress has lacked, every single member of his cabinet, I wouldn't want all of that on my shoulders. That's for sure.
Yeah, they're 20 years old. That's how old I was when I did that job. 2024.
Yeah. Wow.
Actually, if any, like put Gen Z in charge of this, actually sits pretty well with me. That they'll be like, absolutely not. I have a future to live for.
Yeah.
I'm having one of those moments of cognitive dissonance where it's just like, wow, literally tonight, the thing that we Gen Xers have been told is coming our whole lives, nuclear war, may be coming. And also I'm like, my brain's going through, oh, when this is done, I've got to get my kids up and out the door for school. Like, it's so hard to reconcile when our worlds seem the same, but all of these things are going on completely out of our control. So if anyone else is feeling that like pit and stomach disorientation, I just want to acknowledge, like, none of it quite seems real, because presidents aren't supposed to announce a genocide over social media.
Right. Yeah. If anyone wants to feel extra bad, go
Please
take a look at a nuke map. I for whatever reason, because I'm me, we were talking about this over Easter brunch. And, my family was kind of like, but we're in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I was like, you silly, beautiful people, please take a look at a nuke map. We are a primary and a secondary target here in Fort Wayne, Indiana, because there's a lot of manufacturing capacity, and it's a secondary population center. We have, between the U.S. and China and Russia, so many fucking nukes that if the moment comes, no one is going to be unrestrained. They're going to launch all of them. And you can only nuke New York City or Washington, D.C. so many times. And then you're like, what am I going to do with my 5,000th bomb? How about Fort Wayne, Indiana? That looks like a nice place. Like, go look at a map. There's no place in this country that you will be safe. Nowhere. It is civilization ending. It is the end of the human species.
Yeah.
Like, a nuclear war happens and it's over. Because like Keira said, deterrence is gone, and so no one's going to hold on to their extra 1,000 nuclear weapons because there is no round two.
I will say, there is no round two. And while our personal, administration doesn't quite seem to grasp all of this, that other people are humans and want to survive and will do what they need to survive. I mean, this is the strategic failure in Iran, right? We expected to walk in there and like pew pew, and then Iran would be like, oh my God, you're so strong, and then they'd stop, right? Like that was the thinking. It seems to be the thinking.
Can you please say pew pew again?
Synopsis, right? Like we.
Can you please say that again?
Pew pew, right? Like this. I mean, it is like G.I. Joe. It's childish G.I. Joe thinking when we're putting lives at stake here. But other people are human, and they do not want the world that the U.S. administration is creating. Yeah. This administration does not realize it, but by destabilizing things in this way, they are absolutely opening themselves to an entire new world order where they are not untouchable, right?
Right.
There are many, many things preferable to absolute nuclear waste, and we are, the wasteland. And a lot of people want those things. So my faith remains in the humans at the center of these systems, making decisions about not ending the world. No way to know what that looks like, but I can guarantee that there are very few people interested in actually ending billions of lives. Right. Our problem, of course, and this is a little bit, bigger than the scope of impeachment, right? But our problem are the people that do want the apocalypse, and those folks are in our government right now, and they do need to be addressed from the kind of theocratic Christian white nationalist perspective, right? There is a apocalyptic cult mindset for some of these folks. I will not deny that, but the best way to combat that is to actually have a co-equal branch of government that is not afraid to step in and say, absolutely not, folks, we are not going down this path. And that is why we need everybody to call in. We need everybody to show up. We need folks to be relentless weaponize like their love for humanity, if you want to put it that way, and
Yeah.
demand that the people representing them do the same. Stop being soulless ghouls. Have a heart and actually believe in something. This is the ingredient that's missing.
Yeah.
And
I gotta say, I was just thinking, on the off chance that there could be a single nuke deployed and no response, right? Like, I don't know, imagine like they do a tactical thing in Tehran and somehow everybody stays their finger and nobody retaliates. We would be a global pariah. I
A rogue
guarantee
state,
you,
that's what we would be.
the
Yes,
day after
absolutely.
that, the dollar would no longer be the global reserve currency. Every market in this country would crash to near fucking zero because every foreign dollar that is invested in our markets would be pulled. Like, I think honestly, people need to start communicating to Trump in that way. Like, we would be reviled in a way not even Germany after World War II was reviled. We would be shunned, and we would instantly lose any position of power in the world. We would
I
be.
mean, let me just say this process has already started. So in between nukes
It
and what I
has.
do now, I worked in agriculture, right?
Yeah.
Agriculture 2 years ago, or not 2 years ago, two administrations ago, right, faced massive trade challenges because of Trump and his policies, right? Soybeans that we normally take from Brazil to the US now to go directly to China. The
Yep.
markets
Right.
have shifted in a really fundamental way. And once trade relationships are gone, they don't come back, right? And this is true for kind of everything. The tankers going through the Strait of Hormuz are now accepting payment in yuan, right? That's wild. That has never happened before. There is a Korea, Japan, and I believe Chinese. No, I cannot. It's definitely Korea and Japan in a trade alliance that happened, early last year, and that is a wild thing to have happen. Right, blocks are forming elsewhere
Right.
because we are unreliable, because we are unable to be an active partner. It's happening in Europe too, right? Folks were deployed to Greenland with preparation to blow up runways and fight
Right.
because we are an unreliable actor. And
Right.
with friends like us, man,
yeah.
who needs
Right.
enemies
Who needs
at the
enemies?
same
Yeah.
time?
I so there was just 2 weeks ago a big new 10-year defense alliance was announced between Saudi Arabia and Ukraine. Why? Because Ukraine, over the course of the last 5 years, has become incredibly adept at building drones, and they have a mass production system down. And they know how to fight off Russian drones, which are actually Iranian drones. And so Saudi Arabia is like, oh, hey, let's go to the experts. These guys are still alive. They fucking figured it out. We were completely disintermediated. It happened without us knowing about it. It happened without our State Department, without Trump,
Why
and
would they
other.
include us?
Huh?
Why
Yeah.
would
Why
they
would they
include us
include
at
us?
this
Right,
point?
exactly. Why would you
We are a
include us? Like,
liability.
yeah, we're a liability, and you know that it would leak, right? Like, you know that the information would be shared with Russia.
Or
We're
just with all of us, on his thumbs from his toilet in the middle of the night.
right, yeah, on a late night tweet. Um, Yeah, so Kevin Mahoney in the chat is saying it's a little more complicated than that, Lawrence. Like, yes, I know. Like, we wouldn't literally wake up and the dollar wouldn't be the global reserve currency, but we would wake up the next morning and every international partner would have decided that that was the correct course of action. And those major international partners like the EU that are currently like, well, there is some advantage to the dollar being the global, the petrodollar being the global reserve currency. I guarantee you they would change their fucking mind after deployment of even a tactical nuke. Like, the
Well,
process.
I'll go a step further than that and say that, like, I believe that decision has already been taken in some way, right? And
I
we
think
are
you're
no
right.
longer we are no longer the place that the entire world turns to. You're right, it does take time to build out new alliances. It does take time to line up different infrastructures, but we have done actually a lot of the work for them because they are all used to using our currency as the same. So they have a common framework to start from. And we
Right,
are no longer the safe bet. We are possibly a hedge for like very risk enthusiastic investors,
right,
but we are not the place that people that want to retain control and power are going to be placing their bets in the future
yeah,
because we don't even know how to retain our own power. We have destroyed the U.S. standing, both at home and abroad, has been destroyed during this process.
Right.
And that it is going to take a long time to get it back.
We won't
Yeah.
live to see it. I mean,
Sammy D just won the chat and said, "But we have half a dozen men competing in women's sports."
Right. Oh,
Well,
Sammy.
Right.
Oh, Sammy. I on a whim while we've been talking, I just opened to be like, how is the stock market doing today? And it's like down a little.
sure.
It's down 233, but our headlines, and I mean, we all know how complicit the media is now, but the way these, even just the way these last couple tweets have been normalized of like Trump threatens
Yeah.
more actions against, with no mention of like it's Easter Sunday and he's threatening to annihilate an. I'm going to just read these very calm, like Dow futures drop 100 points as ceasefire hopes fade ahead of Trump's Iran deadline. Like that makes it sound so sensible.
Sure.
And it makes us sound unhinged to be like, no, y'all, this is fucking crazy. But they're the unhinged ones by not responding. Yeah, sorry, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, what does it take for the institutions that have operated under the assumption that everyone is reasonable and that nothing matters, right? Because journalists are very, very jaded about things that are actually newsworthy or make up a story or really even about their own power, about how they can affect events, right?
Yeah.
What does it take for these institutions whose entire assumption is that they are simply there to to say this is the reality, right? And they have been tasked with creating reality. They did, let's just use Iraq in 2003, for example, right? The US government provided information to the New York Times to craft the reality that led to the invasion of Iraq. Right? It was all lies, but they did that. And this is the system that the media is used to operating in. They are used to access. And that access is what they predicate their reporting on. If you are coming in from the outside, and I say this as someone who is absolutely coming into from the outside and does not have respect for either the institutions or the people within them at this point, right? Coming in from the outside requires you to also have a spine. It requires you to also insist that you are wrong in your worldview and you are not understanding this correctly. And you must change the way you assess information and figure out how to act. And that piece of it, the forcing of reflection, that piece is basically non-existent here. So the reluctance is almost understandable to me. And the answer, right, is not to expect those institutions to actually like gain a spine or a sense of integrity. The answer is to figure out, how do you organize around them, knowing that they are complicit in this, knowing that they are going to contribute to, not just in the same way the Democratic leadership is, not just reporting on the status quo, but actively maintaining it, right? They work hand in hand. It's so pathetic.
What's giving you hope in this moment? I mean, we're coming to the top of the hour, and I feel like we can't
end on
end on these notes. But
this might be our last show.
It's been such a joy to talk to you, even though the circumstances are fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
You're awesome, and you're a hero, and we love you. And what is giving you hope in this moment?
As like I said before, it's always the people, right? The people that are out there doing the right thing. I know I am not the only person out there with integrity, right? I know I'm not the only person out there who refuses to give up in the face of all of this, as you say, bullshit, right? You guys are out here. Your entire crew is out here. People are showing up to fight. And like, yeah, there are doomers, right? But those are just not the people that I choose to work with at this point in time. And I'll go back to the candidates one more time, because those folks, right? They didn't just show up at a protest. They didn't just, call and email their rep. They didn't just, decide to get a meeting with their rep or kind of go up the ladder of actions. They were like, screw this. I am better than these people. I can take them, right? And they are amazing. Like they are out here fighting tooth and nail for recognition. And the Democratic establishment and the media, like we talked about, is doing their best to freeze them out. So if you are wondering what it is that you can do that will have an impact, go find a fighter. CourageForDemocracy.com. Find one of them. Sure, you can throw them a couple bucks, but if you have a couple hours to spare, volunteer that and get in their campaign, because the only thing that frightens Congress is losing their job. And so these candidates are a direct threat to their complacency, and they are the ones that are going to be changing the conversation. So for your audience, that is the best thing that they can do right now, is get involved with a campaign and support them in whatever way is possible for those folks. That is where you find the hopes. That's the daily work that keeps us going.
Yeah.
What about volunteering with Citizens Impeachment? Are you all looking for volunteers? And if so, what kind of volunteers are you looking for, and how does one get involved?
Yeah. So Citizens Impeachment it makes it real easy to kind of do the entry level stuff, right? If you go to /action at the website, you will see the daily action right now that's asking reps to commit to impeachment after the midterms, because that's the information that we're after. But we also have actions on Iran, and we update our weekly actions as the news comes out. You can also volunteer with us in a staff capacity. We deeply, deeply appreciate. We have about somewhere around 40 volunteers right now. Everybody does what they can, and we have an incredible crew of people who simply refuse to give up. So we are. That is, just a form you can fill out. When you click join us, it's a big headline right on the front page of citizensimpeachment.com. All you have to do is click I want to volunteer, and then we will reach out. There's also a staff form that you'll receive, where you can kind of list out your skills and everything. The truth is that what we need right now is not just individuals to do this work. We need groups. We need groups willing to endorse the impeachment, conviction, and removal of Donald Trump. It is remarkable how few of these groups are out here. Flare USA is one, Remove the Regime is another, and then it gets real slim. We need more people to say publicly that this president is not fit to serve and needs to be removed, because it's the groups and the voters and the money that Congress is scared of, because those are the things that make Congress lose their jobs.
Right. Yeah. Right. And as we've talked about, none of them want to lose their jobs. Dana and I have talked about this a bunch on this show, that if we have the opportunity to write the history of this time, so much of it is going to be about the hubris of the people who thought that they were so important that they couldn't step down when they were too old, or possibly lose their job and not get reelected. Between Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Dianne Feinstein and Joe Biden, like the oldsters who were like, no, it's got to be me. I've got to stick around even though I have pancreatic cancer. Like
y'all aren't special.
And the folks who are in Congress right now who are like, oh no, I have to get reelected because no one can do this job as well as I can.
Man, my personal dream is that every single one of these people have to fight every 2 years. I want a field full of candidates. If I succeed in the work that I'm doing, that my team is doing, that means every single year y'all are going to have to fight for your job. And if you can't handle that, y'all need to step down now.
Yep.
There is no right to power here.
Yes.
Yes,
I'm giving you all the snaps for that.
You are not entitled to your job. You are a servant of the people. You need to prove it every fucking day that you show up for that job, that you are serving the people.
And we need fighters, and we also need voters who are not looking for purity tests. But for me, I'm like, I don't care if I agree with every one of your views. I need to know you're in for the fight. I need to know we're on the right side of history. You're on the right side of history. We're aligned.
Can I just say, we need more women. I would like to point out that if Hillary or Kamala were president in this moment, this would not be happening. I promise you. I promise.
Can you imagine what we'd be doing right now, Lawrence?
Oh my God.
I can't even.
I just want to go back to your comment about the fight. That's something that we say to all our candidates. We don't ask them how much money they've raised. We don't ask them, how many volunteers they have or what have you. Or like, are you willing to fight? Are you going to be a formidable opponent? Like, will you not back down in this race? And like, that's That's the only thing that matters right now, because you can do a whole lot. AOC won her race with, I think, 70, 80 grand, something like that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
If you've got the absolute determination, you can make it happen, especially this year when people are just wildly dissatisfied with the status quo.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Keira, I know we're right at time and we need to be respectful of your time, but we have one very, very important question that we always ask first-time guests.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Because Dana and I are Gen X, and there's nothing more important than this.
Okay.
Go for it, Dana.
Sure thing. This is a music question, and before I ask it, Lawrence, I have to say, like, I don't know if it's Sting or the Police, but Russians has been going through my head this whole show. You remember that song? Like, I hope the Russians love their children too.
Yeah, I hope the Russians love their children too.
About nuclear war. It's kind of a terrible song.
Yeah, I hope Trump loves his children too, but he doesn't. He clearly doesn't.
He's not capable of love, and
he breaks the rubric.
He does. So here's your question. What is the most Gen X song of all time? And it might be Russians. That just might be the song.
The most Gen X song
yes,
of all time.
Like you're watching a film. It's supposed to be set of the era. What's playing in the background? And we recognize there's a wide range of songs, but we love hearing all of the different answers.
Even if you're not Gen X, we love hearing people's perspective.
So I am an elder millennial, right?
Nice.
And I am actually the Oregon Trail generation. Like, right, my birthday is very close to Petrov in 1983. Yeah. And
you may have dysentery. That
yes, exactly, right. I grew up on that specific computer and game.
I love that game.
So that's when it transitioned, and I gotta say, like, man, for Gen X. I know mine growing up, right? The time that like transports me immediately back to the 90s is like Rage Against the Machine, man. That was everywhere on the radio. Know Your Enemy. That was the song that my parents really didn't like me listening to. That was the thing that brings me right back to that time.
Right, and that was one of our criteria when we were coming up with the question. Right, is that. Like, it is probably a song that you loved that your parents hated.
Yes, that was 100% a part of it, right? I'm trying to think a little bit before that, man. I don't know. I might.
I think that.
I think it's Rage for me. Yeah.
Because, every generation spans 15 years, and Lawrence and I are kind of smack in the middle. Okay. So we can.
What is it for you guys?
Oh God, we've come up with so many. Dana's is Tainted Love by Soft Cell.
Sure.
Mine changes every time we ask the question, but it's probably something like Heart of Glass by Blondie, right?
Okay.
Or, yeah.
Lately, I've been noodling on the idea that REO's Speedwagon is the ultimate Gen X band. So like,
well,
Take It on the Run, but because it's a band that if it comes on, only Gen Xers are like, oh my God, I know every word, and everyone else is like, who is this weird nasally guy singing? So that makes it uniquely Gen X. But
well, a little bit different if we want to go back to the topic of this conversation, right? The end of the world as we know it.
And I would be fine.
Perfect. Yeah.
We actually had a patch to that effect with that slogan on it when I was in the military.
Oh my God. I mean, that is it doesn't get much more Gen X than REM, and that song is just the song of this moment. So perhaps we have that for the pick today. We have Jason Odell, regular in the chat, an awesome guy. He has made a playlist of all of the songs people pick. It's on Spotify and Apple. Kurt is saying in the chat, REO, first live concert I ever went to. It was my first cassette tape, the first like music I sought out on my own. So oh my gosh, lots of people. Frida says that she cried when Sting sang that at the Grammys. And Darbid says, thanks, great guest today. Got the chat riled up. Yes. It's a good day for 99 Luftballons, Jason says.
Also, yes. Goldfinger version or the original.
All right. Oh, I haven't heard the Goldfinger version.
Oh, me neither.
Oh, that was, again, my childhood. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I've got to go seek that out. Well, hopefully we'll be back with the Daily Whatever show tomorrow.
You will be.
Honestly, somebody
Yep.
said in the chat earlier, like, this could be your last show.
No,
Cool.
that's.
Right.
I mean, just as yeah,
Yeah.
we've been through this before, right? Like I was born into it, right? There are humans that care, and
God, I hope
I
you're right.
know that they will do their best to step in, and we got to have faith in one another.
We all just
Yeah.
need to pray for Taco, right? Like, this is what scares me is that we all know what narcissists do when they feel trapped. Like, what cowardly bullies do when they're trapped is they flail like this. And frequently they'll back down if someone stands up to them.
If someone stands up,
But if
is
they
the key.
don't, then there's this, like, there's a decent chunk of our population that's like, fuck yeah, this is how you handle conflict. You bulldoze in and you threaten and then you blow shit up, and they're cheering all of this on. Where anyone who is measured and has the ability to connect any dots beyond the action knows that nothing good comes from this. So here's hoping our better, more rational folks are
There are
able to
more
step
of
in.
us than there are them.
Yeah, there are, but the one who's in charge is making some wild statements. I meant what I wrote. Kind of my response this morning after I saw the tweet that I put up in notes was like, it's too late for the 25th. It's too late to impeach. Like, I literally think he needs to be taken to Walter Reed and sedated. And Jason took it one step further in the chat and suggested, and then we need to build a Truman Show around him so he thinks he's still leading. And I'm like, yes, that might be what needs to happen. But this to me is this is like a psychotic break. What's happening right now? This is so not normal.
I wish I agreed with that. I mean, it is not normal, but this is who he is and who he has been the whole time.
True. And I should use my words more carefully. I do think that this is who he is, but he is not well. We know his mental state is not well, and what he's doing like requires immediate like yoink.
Yeah.
Take his phone away. Give him a burner phone.
Let me close with one statement here. It doesn't actually take 2 days to force impeachment. If you are a leader in the House, for example, if you are Leader Jeffries, you can do it right now. You can simply put those articles of impeachment in, and you can force it to happen. Now, Congress is still out of session, as far as I know, unless they've all come back from vacation yet. And that just goes to show exactly how little they recognize this moment as a crisis.
Right. Yeah. Can you even imagine they're on vacation? Like, they're just like, is anything important going on? I'm catching up on the latest Bridgerton series.
Call Jeffrey's office. Call Jeffrey's office and tell them you have the power to do this.
What a hero that would do. Like, all would be forgiven. Can you imagine if he just showed up and did that?
Yeah, honestly, like the way to save his career is to do this. Oh my gosh, Keira, we need to wrap, but thank you so much for being here. Thank you for doing your work. I think you got a bunch of new fans today. So
awesome. Thrilled to have you guys.
I really hope so. Please, please go subscribe to Citizens Impeachment. The work you're doing is so important. Thank you. Thank you for being here, especially today of all days.
Thanks for having me.
Wonderful getting to know you, and we would hopefully we would love to have you back, assuming he doesn't blow everything up tonight.
We will be back. The world doesn't end. There will be an after. It might look very different, but there will be an after. So
yeah,
good. Well, we would love to have you back on the show because.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you, Keira. Thanks everybody.
Love you. Mean it, everyone. Bye.